Hey, what's up, sports fans? It's the armchair quarterback here. Basically, what I'm going to be doing with this page is just talking about different sports topics, different teams and sports and things like that. My first subject, I want to talk about the best team in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers, my team. I basically just want to talk about, how the season ended and some of the things that are going on in the news right now and how I feel about all of it. Uh, all in all, it was a good season. We made it to the AFC Championship. That's nothing to, turn your nose up at. But I have to say, I am disappointed that we didn't make it to a Super Bowl yet again. It's kind of getting frustrating as a Steelers fan to keep saying, well, hopefully next year. Especially with the talent that we have, we honestly should be winning championships right now. Uh, a lot of people have been on social media saying things like fire Mike Tomlin, fire Todd Haley, fire Keith Butler, and I can't say that I don't agree with some of that. Uh, I definitely believe that these coaches need their feet held to the fire and need to buckle down on what they're supposed to be doing. Uh, I'm highly disappointed in the job that Mike Tomlin has done. Uh, I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great coach sometimes. And I know a lot of people would say, well, how can you say that when the guy won a Super Bowl? And, I'll tell you why. Back when he was hired, I wasn't crazy about the hire. I wanted Bruce Arians to be the coach. He had put in the time and he had a relationship with the players, and I thought he would be a good coach, and he's proven that he is in Arizona. And I wanted him to be the guy, but they passed him over for Tomlin, and I wasn't happy about it. But I accepted it and I moved on. Well, then Tomlin won the Super Bowl, and I thought, well, hey, this is going to be pretty good. Uh, we're on to something here. And then after that, it was just a whole bunch of nothing, a whole bunch of ups and downs, 1 year making the playoffs and getting eliminated in the first round, and the next year not even making the playoffs. We've had one more Super Bowl appearance since then, which was against the Packers, which we lost. And just a whole lot of disappointments in, oh, well, hopefully next year's. And we've had teams that were good enough to make it to the Super Bowl and win, but we just couldn't get over that hump. And then you look at the team we had this year, and man, this was the time. This was what this was the year we should have won the Super Bowl. I don't understand how you have the offensive weapons we have and you can't win a Super Bowl. If you put the killer bees on a team coached by Belichick or by Pete Carroll, don't you think they would dominate the league? They would light it up. But yet, they couldn't score touchdowns some games this year. The kicker won the game for them in the divisional round of the playoffs. Without Chris Boswell, the Steelers lose that game to the Chiefs because the offense couldn't get it in the end zone. The killer bees. And you can't get it in the end zone. And that's on coach, man. And it's disappointing and it's frustrating from the perspective of a Steelers fan like myself. You've got the number one wide receiver in the NFL. And I know a lot of people would argue for Odell Beckham Jr. or Julio Jones, and I won't dispute that. You're not wrong. Those three are interchangeable as who's the best receiver in the league. You could argue for any one of them. But for my money, it's AB. Le'Veon Bell is the best running back in the NFL. And before any of you Cowboys fans chime in, sit down. Elliott's good, and he's going to be good for many years to come, but he's not the best back in the league. Le'Veon Bell is the best all-purpose back in the league. And then you got Ben Roethlisberger, who most Steelers fans would say is the best quarterback in the league, but I'm not going to be the homer and be biased like that. I'm going to be objective about it and say that he's at least a top 5 QB. So you have a top 5 QB, the best receiver and the best running back in the league. Why are you not winning championships? This team went into Foxborough totally unprepared. The game plan was atrocious, and it didn't work, and they didn't make adjustments. You beat Brady by pressuring him, hitting him, getting in his head, and getting him off of his game. The Giants have proven that. The Texans did it, and if they would have had a quarterback, they would have beaten the Patriots. And then you get to the AFC Conference Championship game, and the Steelers don't get to him. Brady had a clean jersey the whole game. And it's not because you don't have talent. Shazier is a Pro Bowler and can get to the quarterback. Bud Dupree is a stud who will be a future Hall of Famer for many years to come. He's shown he can get to the quarterback. And James Harrison, Debo, my man, still getting it done at your age, brother. Showing them you still can get to the quarterback. Love it. So the talent was there to get to the quarterback, but they didn't do it. The defense sat back in zone coverage and let Brady pick them apart. Chris Hogan looked like Antonio Brown out there. He was open time after time after time after time, and nobody did anything to stop it, man. Nobody made adjustments. They just sat back and let it happen. And then the offense was anemic yet again. And then, Roethlisberger comes out and says he may or may not come back next year. He's going to contemplate that over the offseason. That ought to open people's eyes. We can't keep saying maybe next year. The window of opportunity is about to slam shut. If Roethlisberger leaves, what then? Landry Jones? Psh, I don't think so. So then you're talking we either go out and draft another quarterback or get one in free agency. And then you've got to go through the growing pains of assimilating them into the offense and getting them on the same page with the other players. And by the time that happens, you lose other key players, and then it's just a vicious cycle of rebuilding. Maybe by then, AB's not the same AB, or Le'Veon Bell, or they're gone to different teams. Many, many things could happen. Now is the time. Antonio Brown is in his prime. Le'Veon Bell is in his prime. Ben Roethlisberger is at the cusp and starting the downslide of his prime. The time is now. No more wait till next year. And it frustrates me because the coach isn't getting them there. And then on top of that, you have all these distractions and off-the-field issues, man. Le'Veon Bell being suspended, Martavis Bryant, then the social media thing with Antonio Brown. Cowher would have never put up with stuff like this. Neither would Chuck Noll. And in a way, I'm glad that Tomlin is a little lax on his discipline, because if he wasn't, Le'Veon Bell wouldn't be in the Steelers uniform anymore. Bill Cowher would have kicked him off the team after this second incident, if not after the first. Same with Martavis Bryant. And then this social media Facebook Live controversy with AB and people in the locker room supposedly saying that he's all about himself. The coach has got to get that. He's got to step in and say enough is enough. AB, I love you, man. You're my favorite Steeler. But you've got to decide what's more important, your social media game or the game of football. Did Julio Jones go on Facebook Live after they beat the Seahawks in the divisional round? No. And you see where Julio is now. He's preparing to play the Patriots in the Super Bowl because he was focused on the prize. He wasn't worried about his IG account or his Facebook. It's time for Tomlin to step in and say, hey, this isn't about you, it's about us, a team, winning a championship, because it is time. The clock is running out. And with this team, that we should already have at least one other ring, if not a couple more. And we should be playing in the Super Bowl this Sunday against the Falcons. But we're not. Because the team underachieved yet again. And I'm tired of this team underachieving. And it needs to stop. Now, I'm not saying fire Tomlin. Because that's not going to happen. The Roonies don't do that. And that's one of the things I love about them. They stick to their guns. Through thick and thin, they stick with their coach. They don't have a revolving door. That's why we're consistently good. And consistently in the thick of things. Unlike the Browns, who change coaches like underwear, and look where they are. But we can't keep saying maybe next year. It's time now to win a championship before the window closes. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on things. And like I said, I'll be back with different videos. Until then, peace out. Go Steelers.